So what are some practical methods for exploring lucidity? Some of you have said that you have attempted to investigate some of the practices I have advocated using methods I have supported, but to no avail. What happened? Well, that's probably because you are attempting to utilize those practices in the wrong application. These are not endeavors that are put towards gaining knowledge. We use these practices to try and make a breakthrough in lucidity. And that's no easy realization. Mainly, the practices are an attempt to gradually decrease the attention from being stuck to the illusion. And that's difficult, because the attention is very easily pulled by the details of illusion. And whenever we loosen that adhesion, the details come at a stronger intensity to test the detachment and also attempt to nullify it. Illusion is provocative. It constantly lures for desire. It wants and loves attention and will fight to keep it. But, oddly enough, it is turned off by attachment and will trounce all over the desperate. Kind of strange, isn't it? It loves attention and even loves walking all over the desperate. But what it doesn't dig is waning attention. It wants to attract the indifferent and cocoon and destroy the invested. Only when the invested begin to try and break free from the prison of illusion will it then return to provoke once again in an attempt to delude and dissuade you. So why is any of this important? Well, it's important because lucidity depends on what the center of attention is focused on. Focusing the attention on the seen fosters delusion. Focusing the attention on the seeing fosters lucidity. There's not any facet of the seen that will lead to clarity of mind. This is something key to remember. There's not any aspect of the seen that is conducive to lucidity. Just know that everything in the perceivables is going to constantly try and distract you from the fact that this reality is a creation of the mind. Not the brain, not your mind, but the mind. So practices related to refocusing the attention from perceptibles to the awareness itself is what facilitates lucidity. Questions arising from the brain about the implications of such an endeavor only serve to keep you bogged down. Another pitfall of illusion. Never mind thinking about what happens to the intrinsic once the realization is made. That's the kind of thinking that keeps the attention trapped on illusion. Realizing full lucidity doesn't mean existence vanishes. It doesn't mean other people become one with you, or that the universe unravels in a domino effect. This kind of thinking is rooted in the illusory premise. Lucidity, put in a more pragmatic way, just means that awareness becomes aware of itself, aware that it is the source of the projected reality. And this can be accomplished through refocusing the attention, which is a break from its conditioning. So this is why it is called unlearning, and why the acquisition of knowledge won't get the job done. So then comes another common question. What do I do once I become lucid? And again, it's a query postulated from a delusional standpoint. What do you do? What you? What do? Yous and doings are only applicable to non-lucidity. There's nothing to do at that point, because what's the point? There is no longer any point. Points are points due to illusion. Illusion doesn't relent easily. And lucidity isn't an all-or-nothing game. It's very gradual and entails several depths of breakthroughs. So, in a sense, there is such a thing as half-assed lucidity. Actually, the half-assed lucidity can be the most enjoyable trials of the journey. There's no rush. Let it come smoothly in increments. Now, what about the plethora of teachers, gurus, and mystics who have claimed to awoken? Can any of these people help you in your attempt to realize lucidity? Remember, anyone can claim anything. Doesn't make it true. But there's no way to fake it. You can more often tell if they are full of shit, if you have made some progress in lucidity. But for the uninitiated, it can be difficult to discern, and this can easily lead to further missteps into delusion. So, until you have gone through some empirical undertakings with lucidity, a general rule of thumb is to avoid guides who reference the development of any inventory item as having significance to enlightenment. And your body and brain are included as inventory items. These guides mean well, but know not what they do. I wouldn't say they have outright malicious motives per se. They are just not lucid yet. So they are caught up on offering help that is generally concerned with self-improvement. That is, the development of your character and your character stats. And this, of course, brings up another question. Is there anyone out there that deliberately tries to lead people into delusion with malevolent intent? No, not necessarily deliberately. It's a result of a conditioning, and all matters of power obtained within an illusion come from a foundation of unrealized delusion. Power over others is very similar to the idea of self-improvement. It stems from a false self-identification. There are no so-called anyones out there. Anyone out there is only anyone out there because of awareness fixating attention on them. With lucidity comes accepting responsibility for all projections and accepting them unconditionally. Nothing can enslave you but your own unguided attention. A slave grip is a condition which keeps attention focused on phenomenon and thinking of the phenomenon as extrinsic. This is the way to self-disempowerment. It isn't the case that there are others who are employing tactics to enslave you. No. The intent is the intent of illusion itself. This is the nature of illusion. It isn't a weapon wielded by a dream character. Everything is part of the dream, except awareness itself. Wait, everything? Anything on the seen side, yes. Not the seeing itself. So you, the character, the physical body, the ego, the persona, yes, illusion. But what's seeing other than me? That's what I can't see. What's seeing doesn't look like anything. The mistake is misidentifying this me with the illusory character. But isn't my awareness tethered to what you call the illusory self? Not really. Death shows you that. It's a temporary identification of awareness. It's just an association. But what about the awareness of other people around me and all the past and future people? Is their awareness illusion? Are these people fake? There's only one awareness that you need to tend to, and that's the awareness that you are aware of. From that center of seeing, reality is projected, and it's the same for any awareness. Awareness is always whole, always one. A multitude of subjects isn't an indication of separateness or independent existence. It's an indication of illusion. It's like if you poured 19 cups of water, none of the water in any of those cups is distinguished. Only when the water self-identifies as a cup does the trouble arise. You are awareness, not a perceptible. You are every awareness that ever was, or ever will be. Physicality and time are elements that fool you. Time is illusion. Physicality is illusion. There is only one time, now. Past and the future are right now. But thinking of things like this, past lives, future lives, time, this is all the trappings of illusion. There is no past or future in a dream. And there is no other to need worry about. You could be any number of personas, but none of them are a true self. No persona is the self. The always so is always so. Mixing it up, matching it, breaking it into pieces, masking it, making it whole again, doesn't make it otherwise. You can really look at other people as different aspects of yourself projected outwards. That's why unconditional acceptance is key to self-recognition. Unconditional acceptance doesn't mean agreeing to accept an other as is. It means accepting responsibility of the totality as it is, as the self. This helps with lucidity. If you are everything, then there is nothing that isn't you. Thereby you lose distinction. This is why you don't actually exist. This is where you get close to seeing pure potential. The mind trick that's fooling you is forgetting reality is a creative mental projection. and then being at the mercy of an undirected fate of ignorance.